You feel it before you understand it, the moment you set foot in Greece. It's not the language, not the heat rising off the streets, not even the sea pushing its breath across the shore. It's this low hum in the ground, like the land itself is carrying an old memory and you're just close enough to overhear it. And the wild part is, it isn't metaphor. It's written inside the people. Greek DNA doesn't behave like most national ancestries. It twists across timelines, threads through continents, and holds these patterns that make geneticists stop mid-sentence and mutter, "How is that even possible?" Follow that question long enough, and you walk straight into a story older and far more tangled than anything carved into marble. The first surprise isn't some dramatic reveal of ancient purity. It's the opposite. Greek DNA is strange because it refuses to sit in a straight line. It's layered, like storms drop different sediments one on top of the other over thousands of years. You've got early Aegean hunter-gatherers, the first farmers arriving from Anatolia with their quiet, steady agricultural rhythms, and Bronze Age migrants riding in from the Eurasian steppe, carrying the early roots of Indo-European languages. They didn't wipe each other out. They fused. And that fusion formed something so stable that when scientists compared modern Greeks with Mycenaeans from 3,500 years ago, the continuity was so close it seemed impossible. Right around the moment you're trying to wrap your head around that, platforms like GenealogyX come in with visual maps that show why researchers keep calling Greek DNA an anomaly, the way wildly different ancestral sources somehow settled into a stable, repeating pattern. It's like following a river that keeps its ancient path no matter how many new streams pour into it. But then, the story pulls a trick most people never see coming. Look at European history. Massive migrations, plagues, collapses, empires rising and falling. Those events reshaped entire populations. But Greece didn't shift the way everyone assumes it did. You'd expect Persian invasions, Alexander's campaigns, Roman domination, the Slavic movements, Crusaders, Venetians, Ottomans. Every era should have left a giant genetic fingerprint. When scientists dug into the data, the results forced them to rethink everything. Yes, there were influences, but nowhere near the sweeping genetic transformation seen elsewhere. Somehow, through centuries of chaos, trade, warfare, and cultural revolutions, the deeper Aegean structure kept showing up, refusing to disappear. And here's the reveal comes in. The newcomers didn't replace the locals. They folded into them. Instead of waves washing old identities away, they dissolved into the older layers that were already there. The ancient Aegean signature didn't survive by hiding. It survived by absorbing whatever came and turning it into something recognizably Greek. Then it gets even stranger once you widen the map. Parts of Sicily, southern Italy, the Levant, western Turkey. You can catch these faint little sparks in the data, hints of ancient Aegean ancestry flickering in places where Greek traders and settlers moved thousands of years ago. Not in a mythic, they ruled everything kind of way, just in the quiet, factual way that maritime people leave a trail behind them. Ancient DNA confirms it. Mycenaean-like signals show up from Sardinia to the Black Sea. Not dominant, not overwhelming, but consistent, like a set of fingerprints touched lightly across the Mediterranean. But sometimes the most shocking part is what isn't there. Later steppe migrations that reshaped much of Europe, they show up in Greece, but in surprisingly low amounts compared to neighboring regions. The Slavic expansions that dramatically altered the genetics of Eastern Europe. In Greece, those markers appear in complex patchwork patterns, real and measurable, but nothing close to a population replacement. It's like standing in front of an ancient mosaic. Yes, later artists added tiles, but the original design still decides to picture. And then comes the part that hits you in the chest. Continuity doesn't mean untouched. It means connected. It means that people living in Greece today carry echoes of the same communities that carved the Lion Gate at Mycenae, sailed the wine dark sea, built temples in the sun, and argued in marketplaces that shaped Western thought. The continuity isn't myth. Archaeology, linguistics, and DNA all tell the same quiet truth. But the deeper you go, the more the ground shifts in unexpected ways. Those tiny percentages of Neanderthal DNA, small but unmistakable, don't match the Northern European patterns. They match Near Eastern ones. That means the earliest ancestors who moved into the Aegean carried a slightly different Neanderthal heritage, coming through Anatolia instead of the northern routes. Even the maternal lines, the mitochondrial haplogroups, show waves of early settlers who built the region's first farming cultures. Each haplogroup is basically a soft echo of a woman who lived thousands of years ago and helped shape the foundations of the Aegean world. And then comes the moment that feels like someone pulls back a curtain you didn't know was there. When researchers compare ancient Greek genomes not just to Europeans, but to people across the Middle East, the Caucasus, and even Central Asia, patterns snap into place. Ancient trade routes, colonies along the Black Sea, Persian connections, the cosmopolitan world of Alexander's empire, they all left small but persistent marks. Not overwhelming the gene pool, but threading through it quietly. Enough to remind you that Greece wasn't a borderland, it was a crossroads. Near the end of all this, the work of tools like GenealogyX suddenly feels essential. Modern ancestry maps show a truth textbooks often simplify. Greek DNA sits not on the edge of Europe, but at the center of a world that connected continents long before modern borders existed. And people today still carry that entire map inside them. But just as you're starting to settle into that understanding, the story opens one last door you never expected. If Greek DNA stayed so stable through invasions, climate shifts, migrations, and millennia of cultural upheaval, what happens next? In a world where ancestry mixes faster than ever before, where people move continents in a heartbeat, where identities blend at a pace no ancient population ever experienced, what happens to a genetic legacy that has held its shape for thousands of years? Does it stretch? Does it fracture? Does it transform into something new while still carrying its old spine? And standing there with the Aegean wind brushing past you, listening to a shoreline that has watched every chapter of this story unfold, you can't help but wondering, what is Greek DNA writing right now? Quietly, invisibly, one more chapter scientists haven't discovered yet, but someday will.